Stop for a moment and ask yourself, what if the single most trusted piece of health advice you have followed for the last 50 years is actually the very thing accelerating your aging process? For generations, we have been programmed to believe in a specific sound. The crack of the shell against the skillet, the sizzle of the whites hitting the hot pan. It is the anthem of a healthy breakfast. We look at an egg and we see nature's perfect multivitamin. We see the gold standard of protein. We see the fuel that built the bodybuilders of the 1970s and the fitness icons of the 90s. But here is the uncomfortable truth that nobody in the nutrition industry wants to tell you. You are not 30 years old anymore. You are not building the body of a 20-year-old athlete. You are maintaining the complex, delicate, and changing physiology of a senior. And the biological reality is that feeding a 70-year-old body the same fuel you gave a 30-year-old body isn't just inefficient, it is a physiological mismatch. We are currently facing a silent crisis in senior health. It is a phenomenon where men and women over the age of 70 are eating healthy, yet they are still losing muscle mass. They are still feeling weaker. They are still suffering from fatigue. Why? Because they are caught in what we call the absorption trap. Today, we are going to challenge the most widely held belief in geriatric nutrition. We are going to explore why the humble egg might be failing you. We will uncover the hidden risks that your doctor hasn't mentioned, and most importantly, we are going to introduce you to the 5 elite successors. These are 5 specific powerhouses that do exactly what eggs promise, but fail to deliver for your specific age group. This is not just about food. This is about rewriting the blueprint for your longevity. Part 1. The broken promise of the egg. To understand why we need to move away from the egg as our primary protein source, we first have to respect the machinery of the human body. When you were 25, your digestive system was a furnace. It was a high-performance incinerator capable of breaking down almost anything you threw at it. Your gastric acid levels were high, your enzymatic activity was rapid, and your gut lining was impenetrable. But as we cross the threshold of 65 and 70, the human body undergoes a process known as immunosenescence. Think of this like the gradual dimming of a light switch. Your immune system doesn't shut off, but it becomes slower to react. Simultaneously, your stomach acid, your body's first line of defense and its primary tool for breaking down complex proteins, becomes less potent. This creates 2 massive problems with your morning eggs that we simply cannot ignore. The first problem is what I call the Trojan horse. We have always known that eggs carry a risk of salmonella. For a young person, foodborne illness is an inconvenience. It's a bad weekend. It's a stomachache. But for a senior with a dimmed immune system, salmonella is not just a bug. It is a systemic inflammatory event. Here is what happens biologically. When a senior body has to fight off a pathogen from an undercooked or mishandled egg, it requires a massive amount of energy. Because your intake of energy might be lower, your body enters a catabolic state. This means it starts to eat its own muscle tissue to fuel the immune response. It is a cruel irony. You are eating the egg to build muscle, but the potential bacteria on the shell is forcing your body to burn your existing muscle just to survive the infection. It is a risk-reward ratio that simply does not make sense for your demographic. But let's assume you are careful. Let's assume you cook your eggs perfectly every single time. We are still left with the second and perhaps more dangerous problem: the data. Recent meta-analyses covering over 80,000 senior participants have uncovered the protein absorption trap. We used to think that nutrition was simple mathematics. If you eat 20 grams of protein, you get 20 grams of benefit. But biology is not math. Biology is chemistry. Egg protein is sulfur-rich and complex. It requires a very specific, very aggressive enzymatic action to break it down into usable amino acids. In older adults, the efficiency of this breakdown process plummets. You might eat 3 eggs, feeling full and satisfied, thinking you have done your duty for your muscles. But chemically, you are starving them. The bioavailability, the amount of nutrients that actually traverse the intestinal wall and reach your bloodstream, is significantly lower than you think. Millions of seniors are suffering from sarcopenia. the involuntary loss of skeletal muscle mass, while eating a high-protein diet. They have the fuel, but the door to the muscle is locked. The egg is a key that has become too rusty to open that lock. So, if the old key no longer works, do we have a new one? Part 2. The Superior Architects. Why Nuts Win. Nature is incredibly intelligent. It understands that different stages of life require different sources of energy. If eggs are the fuel of growth for the young, then nuts are the fuel of preservation and endurance for the wise. We are proposing a shift away from the animal-based complexity of eggs toward the bioavailable density of nuts. But I don't want you to think of nuts as snacks. I want you to think of them as biochemical signals. Why are nuts the superior choice for the over 70 physiology? It comes down to 3 critical factors: bioavailability, inflammation control, and release kinetics. Let's talk about kinetics, or timing. This is a concept that is rarely discussed but is vital for your health. Eggs are what we call a fast-burning fuel. They spike your amino acid levels quickly, and then those levels drop just as fast. But your muscles, especially at night or during long periods of rest, do not need a spike. They need a drip feed. They need a slow, steady supply of repair materials. Nuts provide a complex matrix of healthy fats, fibers, and proteins. This structure slows down the digestion process. It turns the protein into a time-release capsule. When you consume these specific nuts, you are keeping your body in an anabolic state, a muscle-building state, for hours longer than an egg ever could. Furthermore, the enemy of muscle in old age isn't just a lack of protein, it is inflammation. This is the silent killer. We call it inflammaging. Chronic, low-grade inflammation that buzzes in the background of your body like static on a radio. And this inflammation eats away at your muscle fibers and attacks your joints. Eggs, particularly the yolks, contain arachidonic acid, which can be pro-inflammatory in some older systems. Nuts, on the other hand, are the firefighters. They are packed with compounds that cool the system down. We have identified 5 specific nuts. These are not random choices. They have been selected based on their specific nutrient profiles to outperform eggs in muscle building, repair, and mobility. These are the Elite 5. Part 3. The 5 Pillars of Strength. Number 1. The Muscle Guard. The walnut. If you make only one change to your diet after listening to this, let it be this one. The walnut is unique in the plant kingdom. It is the only tree nut with a significant amount of ALA, alpha-linolenic acid. This is a plant-based omega-3 fatty acid. Why does a muscle care about omega-3? Because before you can build, you must stop destroying. Think of your muscles like a house. If the house is on fire, you cannot build a new addition. You have to put the fire out first. Inflammation is that fire. Walnuts effectively hose down the inflammation in your body. They create an environment where muscle growth is actually possible. An egg cannot do this. An egg provides bricks, but the walnut provides the safety required to build. Number 2. The absorption king. The almond. We spoke earlier about the trap, the fact that your body isn't using the protein you eat. Almonds are the ladder out of that trap. The secret weapon here is magnesium. Magnesium is the ignition switch of the human body. It is involved in over 300 biochemical reactions, but the most important one for you is protein synthesis. You can have all the amino acids in the world floating in your blood, but without sufficient magnesium, your body cannot turn those acids into muscle tissue. Seniors are notoriously deficient in magnesium. It is a silent epidemic. Without it, your protein intake is largely wasted. Almonds are one of the most magnesium-dense foods on the planet. By integrating almonds, you are turning the engine back on. Studies have shown a direct link between seniors with higher magnesium levels and greater grip strength. It is that simple. You fix the magnesium, you fix the strength. Number 3. The complete builder, the pistachio. For decades, the argument against plant-based protein was that it was incomplete. Critics said it was missing essential pieces of the puzzle. The pistachio shatters that argument completely. Pistachios are a complete protein. This is a scientific term meaning they contain all 9 essential amino acids that your body cannot create on its own. In the world of nutrition, finding a plant that mimics the amino acid profile of meat so perfectly is rare. But here is why it beats the egg. Fiber. Gut health is muscle health. As we age, our gut motility slows down. Pistachios provide the complete protein of an egg, but they come wrapped in fiber and antioxidants that support your microbiome. You get the building blocks you need, but with better absorption and zero cholesterol risk. It is the perfect hybrid fuel. Number 4. The hormonal regulator, the Brazil nut. I want you to be careful with this one. This is not a snack to be eaten by the handful. You only need 2. Just 2 Brazil nuts a day. Why? Because of the thyroid. As we age, our thyroid function, the master controller of our metabolism, naturally slows down. When the thyroid slows, everything slows. Muscle repair becomes sluggish. You feel heavy. You feel tired. Brazil nuts are the richest known source of selenium on Earth. Selenium is the fuel that your thyroid craves. By eating just 2 of these a day, you are essentially rebooting your metabolic operating system. You are sending a chemical signal to your body that says, "Wake up, repair the damage, build the tissue." An egg provides protein, yes, but a Brazil nut provides the command to use that protein. It is the manager of the construction site. Number 5. The skeletal anchor, the cashew. Finally, we have the cashew. We include this because we must remember a fundamental truth. Muscle does not float in a vacuum. It is anchored to bone. If your skeletal frame is weak, your muscles cannot exert force. We often see seniors lose mobility not because they lack muscle mass, but because their connective tissue, their tendons, their ligaments, their joints, has become stiff and brittle. This is where the cashew shines. Cashews are packed with copper and magnesium, which are essential for maintaining bone density and the elasticity of connective tissue. Think of the nutrients in cashews as the oil for your joints. They keep the machine moving smoothly, allowing for the full range of motion necessary to maintain strength. If you cannot move your arm fully because the joint hurts, the muscle will atrophy. Cashews prevent that stiffness. Part 4. The new routine and conclusion. So, what is the takeaway here? Are we declaring that eggs are the enemy? Are we saying you must banish them from your kitchen forever? Of course not. If you enjoy a poached egg on a Sunday morning, you should have it. Food is joy, and joy is part of health. But we need to stop treating the egg as the holy grail. We need to stop relying on it as our primary safety net. The belief that an egg a day keeps the frailty away is a myth that is no longer serving your physiology. The protein absorption trap is real, it is documented, but it is also escapable. You just need to change your keys. By shifting your daily habit toward these 5 nuts, the walnut, the almond, the pistachio, the Brazil nut, and the cashew, you are doing something far more profound than just eating. You are actively cooling the systemic inflammation that destroys your tissues. You are fueling the thyroid that manages your repair cycles. You are lubricating the connective tissues that allow you to move. And you are finally, absorbing the protein you consume in a slow, steady release that matches the rhythm of your body. This is what we call strength insurance. This isn't about becoming a bodybuilder. I know you are not trying to pose on a stage. This is about real-world strength. It is about the balance required to catch yourself if you slip on a rug. It is about the endurance to walk through the entire park with your grandchildren, not just sit on the first bench you see. It is about the grip strength to open a jar without having to wait for someone else to do it for you. It is about dignity. It is about independence. The science is clear. The egg had its time. It served you well for decades. But for the next chapter of your life, for the strongest, most resilient chapter of your life, it is time to crack open something else. Start with a handful. Mix them into your oats. Eat them with your fruit. Make the switch. Here is to your strength. Here is to your health.